Good evening, friends. Good evening. Tonight is Tuesday, just after the great holiday of President's Day. And tonight we'll be chatting about High Weirdness, Drugs, Esoterica, and Visionary Experience in the 70s by Erik Davis. Very, very awesome book. Very, very awesome book. It definitely, the prophet of strangeness in this book is Philip K. Dick, which I'm going to be talking a lot about him in the next, whatever, vloggings. He's definitely now king of Amazon Prime, which is one of the more formidable platforms. Probably even competes even with the massive Netflix. I don't know. They're big. They're all big to me. Hulu is big. All those. Philip K. Dick has been one of the chief authors of which Hollywood has drawn upon. His sci-fi is second to none, basically. Anybody out there? We are live. Hope to not have such a big lag in between talking that I usually do. Hi, weird. This is such a good book. I may even do 2 of these on this. Anybody out there? Okay. High Weirdness. I'll do the review, and hopefully my friends will be on here to chat, but it is a weeknight. I understand everybody's working. We need to abandon the consensus axiom, my friends. So, the psychonauts were huge in the 70s. The 70s did indeed have a continuation of the 60s. Some people might say the cinema was even better. For cool guy, super freaking action cinema, few films compare, even with today's modern super technology, to Enter the Dragon, starring Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee with the sideburns. John Saxon as his cool friend, con man. Jim Kelly, African-American super martial artist. And of course, we did a whole chat on Apocalypse Now. Few, if any, films even come close to that one. Psychedelics experiments continued in the 1970s. The Psychonauts, Stan Groff, going back into the womb, age regression. Dr. John Lilly, I believe, continued his experiments in the sensory deprivation tank over at Harvard University. Hunter S. Thompson was still going. The amazing Gonzo. I love you guys. Not another Heather and Preston are my sexy friends from, I was going to say Arizona. It's Oklahoma. Allegedly. We're talking tonight, guys, about, and look it up on Goodreads or Amazon or anything, High Weirdness by Erik Davis, the esoterica and basically literary absolute coolness of the 1970s. Think about the sideburns. Woman still had hair. This book kind of contends that, yes, allegedly, If Oklahoma was cool, you guys fucking make it cool. Or post-70s recount things. You know, I'm thinking about Hi, Not Another Heather, You're Sexy. There was still some reading, and you know, there was zines. Fact Sheet 5. I submitted my zine to that. I love the whole idea of zines. Taking a bunch of your friends and getting on there with pasted cutouts and making a fucking zine. And you got a physical copy of it. I miss that. Terence McKenna, I'll get to him, but this is the NOS of the 1970s. And sort of they go on to say that the king of weird in science fiction was indeed Philip K. Dick. R. Crumb, the guy who used to write kind of perverted, inky comic books, did do a Philip K. Dick book, of which he kind of went to his exegesis. Philip K. Dick was obsessed with the idea that we're not real. There's no such thing as reality. Everything's a simulacrum. And he, you know, if you want to get the vibe for Philip K. Dick, that animated movie with Keanu Reeves and Woody Harrelson and Robert K. Downey Jr., Scanner Darkly, is pretty damn good because it gives the slacker California feeling. There was a lot of weirdness going on, talking about synchronicities and coincidences. Arthur Kessler, who actually wrote some sort of believe it or not, anti-communist stuff, but he also wrote The Roots of Coincidence. That is an awesome book to read if you're into coincidences and synchronicity. He also wrote Ghost in a Shell and a lot of other weird stuff. Carlos Castaneda was big in the 70s. He wrote A Separate Reality. Very psychonaut, also very druggy. Did there exist a real shaman named Don Juan? Are there people out there? Hey Pedro, how you doing? That don't exist. What happened to Carlos Castaneda? He's one of the kings of experimenting with peyote and this and that. Although my name is Stash, I do not ever touch drugs. But I'm interested in speaking about them. I have always had a feeling that they can be handled much better than by indigenous peoples in their environment, and they have never, ever done anybody any good in the Western world. I'm even skeptical about the microdosing of LSD to help, but I'm not sure. That's a topic for another time. But Terence McKenna was one of the kings of the 70s, experimenting deeply with all kinds of DMT and psilocybin and LSD and whatnot. LSD, incidentally, would never be available pretty much except for the Central Intelligence Agency. I think a lot of hippies and people of that nature think it's natural and this and that. I think it had to be synthesized. Even Timothy Leary has some murky. Timothy Leary, the father of drugs, has some murky ties to the Central Intelligence Agency. Probably the best if you haven't heard of Terence McKenna, he is good to YouTube. Very interesting take on the breakthrough positive side, what he contends, of esoteric drugs. Anybody like my shades for tonight? They are shooter's glasses. I love Not Another Heather. Her heart belongs to Bill Murray. I think one of the most interesting books that Terence McKenna was a part of was The Brotherhood of the Screaming Abyss. Another guy to come later on. Thank you. I'm trying to get new looks, new shades for every show. Bill Murray. I'm glad somebody's doing some kind of thing. I hope you didn't give each other the COVID. I sure you wear a mask to the Denny's. I'm just jealous, you guys. Sorry. So there was a cult revival in the 70s. Crowley, who I often talk about this channel too much, unfortunately, Aleister Crowley. There was a revival. There was a magic revival of him. In the 70s. There's an interesting guy that came out later that they reference in this book. An occultist by the name of Genesis P. Orridge. He's a founding member of the industrial band Throbbing Gristle and a self-proclaimed esoterrorist. This guy, let's look this guy up right now. I believe he's connected to the huge bands that would come later in the early 1990s. New Order, Joy Division, and so forth. But let me take a look at that, all right? My memory escapes me on this. Okay. So this guy is a very interesting occult guy. Yeah, I guess he was operating perhaps in the 70s. So, I mean, he's known as a musician, but I sort of think of him as an occultist. He just died March 14th of 2020, unfortunately. So he was involved in, esoteric stuff. He did performance pieces like Marcel Duchamp, and it always seems that every vlog I do, I continue to speak about William S. Burroughs and Byron Gilson a lot. So I guess those gentlemen have had a cult influence on pop culture. Godfather industrial music. Let me put this man's name in here. I apologize. I'm fucking up his connection to the 1970s. Let's see. Here's his name. Very hip. He's a psychic TV founder. See, I don't know why. Oh, okay. Yes, he's associated with the major band Joy Division. Yeah, I guess he got a lot of plastic surgery. Niall Megson, how did you become Genesis P. Orridge? He's inspired everyone from David Bowie to Marilyn Manson to Nine Inch Nails. Okay, so it's more just, I don't know why I had him all in with Joy Division, but I guess, you know, he was a... Good question is, were you really the last person to speak to Joy Division's Ian Curtis before he killed himself? Yeah, that's weird. Wow. Ian Curtis. I've lost viewers. Where's Pedro? There was a Kurt Cobainish. Yeah. I got one thumbs up. There was also a lot of I don't know why. I guess I would say, yeah, I suppose the science fiction aspect of the 70s was a Philip K. Dick phenomena. And he was paranoid. His house did get broken into, and he bothered the police a lot himself with strange conspiracy theories himself. So he was very into dissociative activities, or at least of his own making. And Robert Anton Wilson, who I do talk about a lot on here. Here's a weird article about throbbing gristle. Was influenced by him, and his Illuminatus trilogy was a partial reason why conspiracy theory stuff became popular. Very funny book. I've also talked about the Discordian Society on here, which was an absurdist group, but somehow they had some strange connection to reality in that one of their members, Kerry Thornley, did know Lee Harvey Oswald before the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Very strange. Philip K. Dick, however, is a lot more famous than Robert Anton Wilson. I do love the work of them both. Philip K. Dick pretty much passed away just when they were doing the movie Blade Runner. Arguably the greatest science fiction ever filmed, the 1982 one, not the more recent one. Blade Runner 2049 didn't have the sack of the old 1982 one. Terence McKenna, High Figure and Weirdness, played a role in the sex, drugs, and radical politics of the occult revival. That was 1970. The absurdism was funny. High Weirdness by Mail. Join the conspiracy culture. Counter-normative histories began to get huge. William Burroughs were into it. Chapel Perilous. Something is going on. Something is more physical and palpable than hallucination. Disturbing times were coming. The Vietnam War was still fresh, of course, up until 1973. Philip K. Dick was... Oh, I lost a viewer. Jesus Christ. Fuck. Come on, get back on here. Sorry for the bad language. My notes suck. The backdrop of... Sorry. Thanks for staying on, Preston. The backdrop of California. As if California wasn't trippy enough, Philip K. Dick sent it into stratosphere. Did Pedro go back to his CIA handlers? Pedro, come back here. The fog-like and dangerous atmosphere. Thanks. I love you, not another Heather. You could love Preston and me, you know, together. Sorry. Oh no, I offended Preston. Okay, she's your girl. I'm sorry. It'll never happen again. Foglight and dangerous. Oh, I do love you, Heather. Heather Laura. The Electric Ant. The Electric Ant. I gotta look this one up. This is a short story by Philip K. Dick, in which he began to show his affinity for sticking up for androids and robotic beings. This is going to be key now as the sex robots are coming to life. Let me take a look at this. The Electric Ant. The Electric Ant. Science fiction short story by Philip K. Dick. Fantasy and Science Fiction Magazine, October 1969. Again, the theme, how much of what we call reality is actually out there, or rather within our own head. The ending story always frightened me. Image of the rushing wind, the sound of emptiness as the character hears the final fate of itself. Marvel comic books did adopt it. Simulated reality. Garson Poole wakes up after a flying car crash to find that he is missing a hand. He then finds out that he is an electric ant, an organic robot. He further finds out that what he believes is his subjective reality is being fed to him from a micro punch tape in his chest cavity. He experiments on tape by adding new holes, which adds things to his reality. Convinced that his entire reality is constrained by the tape, he makes a major change to it, with a major effect on his reality. The change affects everyone else he interacts with, which raises the question of whether any of them or he himself are real at all. Yeah, very interesting. I put this in the chat because I know. Yes. The rise of the network society. I also thought that the change of the 70s came from the Rolling Stones concert, which escapes me, live at the something such, of which the Hells Angels acted as bodyguards. Things went wrong. The Stones were like, that's not cool, and somebody was killed by one of the Hells Angels, who, again, the Rolling Stones had them as bodyguards. For some reason, I marked that as the change from the 60s to the 50s, and the change from the, unless it could be a bunch of bullshit, but the LSD type of things, the organic, natural, goody vegan, vegetarian. It wasn't even, I don't even think that was a term. I'm not sure. The enlightenment, the esoteric feeling with the drugs, the tune in, drop out feeling of enlightenment through drugs and free love and all that changed at that concert. The Rolling Stones, again, the Hells Angels killed a guy there, and it switched from those kind of drugs to cocaine. And the Enlightenment drugs, were still there, but at that marked a change to violent drugs. The war was over, and the country came back and got corporate again. The youth that managed to avoid the war turned on the soldiers, and the soldiers turned on them at Kent State. They're shooting us down. Woodstockish, yeah. It changed. Woodstock was peaceful and so forth, and then that Stones concert. But the spiritual high priest of the 70s, Philip K. Dick, was stateside, and his paranoia feeling seemed to mirror that of Daniel Eisenberg and the infamous, famous Pentagon papers. Watergate break-ins, stateside paranoia, the massive break-in to Dick's own house where his safe was opened up. Some of his stuff was stolen. He did have a pistol in there. Some of his manuscripts. Probably, do android sheep have electric dreams, which would later again become Blade Runner? Was his best novel. Are you inferior? Was your IQ too low to go off-world? The Earth had been ruined. The environment destroyed, just like in the Ridley Scott Blade Runner. It just rains 24 hours a day, or there's dust. Animals are all dead. Animals are all dead. They're replaced by fakes. Fakes. Authenticity became very important. In the Blade Runners, which is not a word in that one, it's just they are there to defend the people against the Nexus 6 androids. So humans would be lower on the food chain. His novel Paycheck deals with total unreality in that there's a man that works for a company called Rethink Corporation, and they offer him $92 million worth of stock if he will sell them his memories for 3 years, of which they need to use his memories to integrate things for their products. The character for the rest of the story runs around trying to recollect the memories that he lost because he finds it's destroyed him. Very interesting. The importance of memories in the formation of the human psyche is experienced and discussed in great detail in the novel Paycheck. Dick was also a fan of Out of Our Heads by an author named Alvin No. We're already dealing with that. I know, I take the 92 million. Fuck my memories. We're already dealing with the quote-unquote I love you, my artificial construct. The Siri, the Alexa in the Siri has already entered our consciousness deeply. In the series Mr. Robot, which I highly recommend, Mr. Robot, consisting of the lead actor, I can't pronounce his name, and Christian Slater, I guess is one. Yeah, he's one of the stars. There is the daughter of the famous actress Meryl Streep in there, and she's in this excellent Mr. Robot, and she is the daughter of Meryl Streep. Yes, the actress, and she plays a FBI agent, and it's one of the more important roles of the Mr. Robot series. Anyway, it's really eerie the way they give the idea that she's an FBI agent during the day, but at night she's lonely, and really all she has to talk to is Alexa. And it's sad. It's an expert. The idea is the world fears only. The system only fears the hacker. And Remy, whatever, great actor, sorry, forget your name, Ian, is the best hacker. The only thing that stands in his way is he's completely schizophrenic. Which that's Philip K. Dickian. You will notice if you watch that series, for some reason, in the New York subways and whatnot, the people are indeed, for no reason, wearing the exact mask that the entire world is wearing now. Just putting it out there. It's been said on Reddit. Reality is not real. Reality is not real. Some of Dick's novels also curiously talk about eugenics, the idea of eugenics. What do you want to be? It demands we make value judgments about people. What do you want your baby to be? 8 feet tall, blonde-haired? We are now Yes. Paycheck. Check out that little novel, my brother. We're now faced with a world where everything is, quote unquote, utterly untrustworthy. You go to a store, they're filming you, they're taping you, whatever you're looking at, and then you get it all in your social media things and your emails and your phone. You're even getting texts now. And they have algorithms that examine everything you do and everything you like and you don't even know. And then they're, Facebook, I mean, as Zuckerberg say, I would any fucking idiot would never go on my thing. Zuckerberg has said he would never go on his own platform. We're all on these things. There's really no difference between a Twitter or YouTube or Facebook. That's all strange. I'm enjoying it, though. I like the YouTube with you guys. How everybody doing tonight? One of Philip K. Dick's best novels is Ubik. Let's take a look at that now. Ubik, Rysator, his boss Rysator. I really think it mirrors Fight Club a lot in that it really is good at making fun of commercialism and materialism. I even tend to think Paylink may have been not only influenced by that, but maybe dipping too deeply into it. Glenn Rysator. I will briefly give you the quick synopsis. 1969. Okay, the story is set in future 1992. Psychic powers are utilized in corporate espionage, while cryogenic technology allows recently deceased people to be maintained in a lengthy state of hibernation. Follows Joe Chip, a technician at a psychic agency who, after an assassination attempt, begins to experience strange alternations in reality that can be temporarily reversed by a mysterious store-bought substance called Ubik. I need some Ubik. It's a very, 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 like all of Philip K. Dick's novels, they're all extremely disturbing. They're not as disturbing as the lonely horror, incredibly horror-filled horror worlds of H.P. Lovecraft, but they're not much better. The motion pictures, as you may expect, kind of tone down a lot of that stuff. The empaths, and when a lot of the big bulk of the novel is as Glenn Rysator communicates with his deceased wife in cryogenic suspension, and there's a hilarious kind of entity that comes in and disturbs his communicating with his late wife. It's a very, very fucked up book. I love it. Just like Minority Report, we're dealing with telepaths and precognitive people. It is scary. It's a good book, though. So yes, Philip K. Dick's literary obsessions are with simulacra, false realities, ghost, and fictional retellings of an event in his life where he had a complete psychotic breakdown that he called 2374, which is featured heavily in his book of nonfiction called Exogenesis. The Exogenesis of Philip K. Dick. He's always dealing with loss of reality, memory manipulation, imposters. There's a lot of imposters. As you may recall, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sharon Stone are in Total Recall. That story and the movie very well delves into Philip K. Dick's obsession with imposters, of which Sharon Stone played a very beautiful imposter. The Maya. In Hindi, we're dealing with Maya. M-A-Y-A. That's illusion. Although, in my opinion, I know, I love Total Recall. In my opinion, we're not so far along as technology as they try to brag about. We got a way to go. But we're now definitely entering further and further. More further than the 70s, of course. Much more further than the 70s. Into the kind of stuff that, yes, illusion. That Philip K. Dick was getting into. They are often floating stories about that they will be able to arrest people before a crime precognitively, just like the precogs, the precognitive telepaths that are floating in water tanks, and Tom Cruise goes to speak to them. Clean up the yard, pick up the dog, do hope that it's hard. I'm an ordinary, average guy. The precognitive stuff is huge. You do? Oh, yeah. I want to go more into it. You're right. Thank you, Pedro. Hold on, guys. I'll be right with you. Yes. Oh my God, I lost like 3 viewers. This is insane. I'm not an influencer. I'm not Kim. I don't have the buttock power of Kim. Her buttocks still mean that America is formidable. She broke the internet. Incredible person. So the idea that you can tell that there's going to be crime. I know, I like Empty Chair too. The idea that the pre-crime, the idea that it would be insane to have something like the Office of Homeland Security, the Central Intelligence Agency was never supposed to have the power to arrest. And we're getting the idea of that. In the precog talk, they talk about it. And now with this technology, there's this idea that they can cancel you, cancel culture. If you have anything interesting to say, you might be cancel culture. then you got to go on another platform. The other idea, other than arresting people before the crime happens, the precogs, would be the idea of a super polygraph machine, an infallible polygraph machine in Blade Runner or Electric Androids, Dreamless, Sleepless Sheep. Do androids dream electronic sheep? Is the VK test. Yes, deleted. Which is kind of like a super polygraph test. And I mentioned that another one. My favorite scene of the cinema is probably one of them. Is well, the cave fight by Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon, and also the Voight-Kampff test with Sean Young. Old movie now, but I don't know why I still like the old Blade Runner better than the latest one. A lot better, probably because of her. And it's weird because there's a Sean Young or Rachel redo in the new one, which is wow. Kind of like seeing Arnold. They've done that to Arnold a lot. They bring out the young him. It's fucking crazy. So a super polygraph, truth machine test, the Voight-Kampff, to protect the ordinary human against the Nexus 6 Android model. The other thing that brings into, and in the movie and in the book, is the idea that you can't completely say that Rick Deckard, the protagonist, is 100% a good guy because he's going out to retire the androids. And they even question Roy Batty, played by Rutger Hauer. Roy Batty is the combat model replicant. He's like, I've done questionable things. But he confronts Harrison Ford's character, Rick Deckard, going, are you a good man? Are you a bad man? It's very, very interesting. Roy gets himself invited into the upper floors of the Tyrell Corporation, and he gruesomely kills his creator. And he kills the Asian man who created his eyes. Philip K. Dick will always include eyes often in some of his novels. He has a short story called The Eyes Have It. And eyes are heavily featured in Blade Runner, and they show it. I design your eyes. And, they torture the Asian man to tell him where the doctor is. The doctor is the same actor that plays the very creepy guy in The Shining who tells Jack Nicholson's character that he's really dead. You've always worked here, sir. Philip K. Dick always goes to the origins of disassociated personalities, affective dissociative personality was. The effort by which each thing endeavors to preserve its own being is nothing but the actual. Spinoza, I believe. In an even more screwed up novel, it's Valis, voice-activated living something system. Let me see what that stands for. Horse over fat is the main character in that, and it's very philosophical. Excuse me. The vast active living intelligence system is Philip K. Dick's Gnostic version of God. This is a trilogy, and it's interesting. It delves into Philip K. Dick's investigation of his unexplained religious experiences. Philip K. Dick is the narrator. Horse lover fat. Very interesting. Gloria Kitson is a suicidal friend of horse lover fat. Putting that in her. Yes. That is the name of one of the protagonists. So it's a lot to do with Gnostic Christianity. Dealing a lot with Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, the Book of Daniel, New Testament epistles. Oh yeah, Bishop James A. Pike, an anti-war bishop, was a friend of Dick's, and I believe he thought he was reincarnated into him after he died. Philip K. Dick was always fucked up and experimented and experienced a lot of hypnagogia. He did a lot of drugs. A lot of drugs. Tons of freaking drugs. He would often call the police and complain about being harassed, followed, set up. I think it was even speculated that he did that to kind of develop his novels. In other words, just go into a separate, unreal life. Well, and kind of screw around. Perversions of actual life. Or he actually really did believe that stuff was going down. He was obsessed with the idea that there was a Fed named Silkron 9 after him. So if you see a scanner darkly on it, it's funny that they have Alex Jones as a character in it, and Robert Downey Jr.'s. I can't believe it didn't delete your last one, but my comment about your two breasts. There was an agent identified himself as Solacron 6. Oh, I gotta type this in. This is great. I love the book covers of Philip K. Dick that they've done in the recent era. Solacron 6. I'm pronouncing this wrong. This was absolutely messed up. Okay, so the strange tale of Solocron 6. He thought there was a neo-Nazi plot to start the Third World War. Solocron 6 was in Philip K. Dick's FBI files. You think that they're Pedro? You think they captured Philip K. Dick and fucked with him? Does Preston mind if I just get one date with Laura? Can I just have one tonight? Perhaps Laura has a sister who's a doppelganger. Very interesting for now. Oh, okay. Thanks, man. In terms of the accusations that there's certain influences by China about certain things. Not that I don't love China. I love China, Walmart, and Amazon with all my heart and all my being and all my soul. But, however, there was a book in 1967 called Faith of Our Fathers, in which allegedly China did take over. It would be worth driving out to you, Laura, for one night of sin, allegedly. Mental date, like a mental mind date. Well, Laura, would you be up for making out with me in an out-of-body experience? Not another Heather. Why don't we try to merge in our dreams? Yeah, the use of illusions to achieve goals. That could have been what Dick was fooling around with, or he was just totally psychotic and he liked the idea of calling the police and the FBI, claiming there was a man named Solocron 6 after him. The penultimate truth is kind of like a 1984, George Orwell 1984 thing, in which the government has agreed to sustain a war in order to keep the citizens subdued. Fantasizing. Yes, I would like to fantasize. Thank you. I knew the world around me was a cardboard fake. Philip K. Dick, like everyone in the 1970s, suffered from amphetamine psychosis. They always bring up this Discordianism, which has definitely gone away, but that was kind of fun. Again, the absurdist religion of the Discordian society. Associates of them thought that the dominant culture needed to use their minds to fight the demurge. That is, certain Gnostic people think that people worship an evil god. It is extremely heretical in the major Abrahamic faiths. Very interesting. Invented religions and the liberation of faith. I've mentioned him on here, and I mentioned him on here tonight. Dr. John Lilly was in the mix. the man who, again, worked with the sensory deprivation tanks. If you're in the mood for a very, very realistic sort of movie, instead of reading about John Lilly, watch the movie Altered States. His work inspired 2 Hollywood movies, my friends. The Day of the Dolphin, the idea that dolphins are just as smart, or actually smarter than people, and you communicate with them. That was starring George C. Scott. And Altered States, 1980. Get in a deprivation tank and tune in. That's John Lilly, Dr. John Lilly. He was into mind expansion, and the intelligence agencies wanted to work with him. And he did not desire to have his work be suppressed. Very interesting. So they didn't agree to that, and he no longer had the back of the massive power of the American intelligence agencies, and probably more or less he slowed down on that. But there are 2 movies made. Pedro, if you're out there, I'm going to do oh yeah, yes, I don't even know, Pedro, if there's anybody who refers to themselves as those religions anymore. That's interesting. The demerge. I don't know, Pedro, if you know, did the priority of Sion, did they believe in the demerge? I don't know. They didn't really address that in the Da Vinci Code, did they? Is there a Sinclair family? I went to the American Stonehenge. You can see on my fucked up channel here that I did travel to the American Stonehenge. That's over in Salem, New Hampshire. Some people think it's a hoax. Some people don't. I seem to think it was a mini sundial and that there were people here before, but that's very frowned upon by the archaeologists. The Sinclairs, yeah. And one of the drawings is that family came over here long ago. And the Sinclair family was one of them that allegedly took a trip here. And it's been said that there are ruins, the kind of Viking or Nordic type of writing, the ruins, which a lot of people into the occult dig it. Are you talking maybe, Press, about the Georgia Gladstones that the conspiracy people freak out over because it says reduce population to 250 million from such and such billion or something? Yeah. It is freaky. The Pilgrims themselves were wealthy. That's interesting. The Georgia Gladstone thing is screwy. This is the book we're going over tonight. Erik Davis, High Weirdness. A study of spiritual provocations found in the work of Philip K. Dick, Terence McKenna, and Robert Anton Wilson. The countercultural people of the underpinnings of the 1970s. That's questionable. Gary Lackman, the bass player for Blondie, wrote a book, Turn Off Your Mind. It's an awesome tome of the occult ages, occult in the pop culture. He goes deep into the X-Men, the early real X-Men in the comic book, not the movies, and Conan, and things like that. Actually has a horrifyingly interesting story about a mansion that the Rolling Stones did buy that was haunted, and of course he goes into the Jimmy Page one that I did a couple of nights ago. I know. It's true. Like writing, I took the, I like to write it this way. Cool. Yeah. Cool. Well, any questions? I love Laura. I think my crush on Laura is getting huge. It sucks for me. But I'll be very polite if, you know, I come to visit your astral body. So don't worry, I won't do anything you don't want to. What does Laura want from the dream world? I could bring you dream money, dream chocolates, dream flowers. Perhaps a dream back massage. Because actual physical things like that, that's kind of gross, actually. At this point, I think, me personally, I probably prefer massage. Other unquestionable things are just a lot of work. Yeah, give me a foot massage. Give my outer body a little foot massage at this point. I don't think you can get the COVID from outer body making out. So that's good. Again, this book talking about the 70s is a little bit of a stretch. Perhaps the influence of Philip K. Dick and certainly Anton Wilson is overestimated. Terence McKenna for the esoteric drug culture, I don't know. He didn't probably come anywhere near the influence of Timothy Leary, who I think was bankrolled by the CIA anyway. Some people do. COVID-free. 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 Love me. Let's all travel back in time. A lot of pretty women like me, but as you can imagine, I always fuck it up by being weird. I can't shut up. But I would rather be interesting than have love. You can have love anytime, but you can't be cool anytime. Any questions, any comments about 1970s esoterica literature, gonzo culture? Anybody have any comments? Questions? My panelist. Today. Yes, it is a good philosophy. I recommend this one very much. Old movie, completely trippy. Altered states. My own tweet is blocked in here. What the fuck? Oh, there it is. Thank you. I hope I didn't keep you guys too late. I am a dope. I love you, people. Sleep well tonight. Thank you for coming on short notice. We are a team. The Disclosure Gang will not rest. There is no mystery, No danger that we will not endure. Because, my friends, you and I know we will never rest until the lies stop and we get full disclosure. Full disclosure. By the way, Out of This World, Ricky Lime's story is now in an LA film festival. Independent shorts. Yes, we never rest, we never sleep. And Masters of Illusion VIP did just win Best Female Filmmaker. That's in Sharani, India, the Madras Film Festival. And we're nominated over there, too, for Out of This World. So that's good. The underground films are going good. My YouTube channel is getting 3, 4, 10 views of YouTube in this world where we're competing with pornography and explosions and deeply divided politics. You're talking about an amazing feat to get over 25 views. That means of a country of 350 million, of which 349 million people are looking at pornography, you get 40 views on here, then you're talking about an intellectual powerhouse. That's what I'm saying. All right, guys, like and subscribe. Tell your friends. The disclosure game will never rest. I will see you later on tonight, Laura. I will give you a respectful massage. Love you guys. If you want one too, Preston, that's cool. I will come in your sleep to your dreams for some relaxing massage. I will rub the brain. I'm sure you guys are using your brain a lot. I will take care of it. Stash will do that for you guys. Like and subscribe. I love you guys. I love the Disclosure Gang. Have a good night, Pedro. Let's keep fighting. Let's keep fighting. Keep up the fight. Disclosure Gang. Stash channel out, my friends. God bless. Take care.